Hello. In today's vlog, I'd like to address the academic similarities and differences between America and Russia. So the first thing I'd like to address is on a general perspective in which students in both countries attend school at the ages of 5 to 6. In America, children attend kindergarten. However, in Russia, children attend 0th grade. At 0th grade, students stay for 2 years, in which then they graduate at the ages of 7 and 8 to 1st grade. Because they stay in 0th grade for 2 years, the ages in which they are in which grade are pushed back. So in 11th grade in Russia would be equivalent to senior year of high school in America. Then, during 11th grade, the students in Russia complete a big test. It is equivalent sort of to the ACT, however, it is a lot harder because it focuses on everything that was covered from math to literature to history to geography of what they learned in school. This test is oral, written, and students have to present a project and their research findings. If students do not pass this test, they have a least successful opportunity to enter a college or university. One thing that I found very interesting and very surprising about the Russian education system is males and their perspective on the male aspect. So if a boy does not pass the 11th grade test, he is sent to the army for 1 year. However, all men have to serve 1 year in the army until they're age 27. There are some loopholes to this, as the university students from Russia told us. The only way you can get out of it is if you send a letter and constantly keep postponing the date you're supposed to be in the army because you're furthering your studies. So, in order to not serve in the army, the male would have to complete their bachelor's, their master's, and a PhD, and probably minor or major in more than one aspect in order to prolong the journey, the academic journey. I would like to address, though, the specific reason why I studied abroad to Russia. I wanted to learn more about the special education system in Russia and what they do and offer for students and people with disabilities. So just coming into the country, I saw that accessibility was not much thought of. On stairs, they just put 2 wooden slats, and that was for wheelchairs. I did not see much people in wheelchairs, and I learned that the law for people with disabilities is only 1 year old. So that is very, very new. What they consider a person with disabilities is someone who has a physical disability or a cognitive disability. Specific learning disability, speech language impairment, emotional behavioral disorder, that does not exist for them as it does in America and makes up for the 13 categories of IDEA. Therefore, there aren't many students with disabilities in the schooling systems. We were fortunate enough to see the first school, the school that receives most money from the country, in which we saw 2 students with disabilities, and a lot of students with heart and hearing impairments. It was very nice to see this. However, after hearing that most students that have cognitive impairments aren't allowed to be entered in schools, it really saddened my heart. So students like these stay at home with their parents if their parents are fortunate enough, or sent off to country institutions. The law is very new and it's still working. That is why we traveled to Russia to teach them about how we deal and work with students with disabilities in America. I hope this video was very helping and you've learned something new as a result of watching this. Thank you.